The arrest that shocked rural Ohio came at dawn on October 22nd, exactly 1 week after Samuel Williams was found murdered in his garage. But the person in handcuffs wasn't who anyone expected. The investigation had taken a stunning turn that would expose the darkest secrets of a marriage gone horribly wrong and reveal the true face of a cold-blooded killer.
The breakthrough came when we found the murder weapon hidden in Diana Williams' car trunk, wrapped in one of Samuel's work shirts. Her fingerprints were all over it, along with Samuel's blood. But that wasn't the most damning evidence we discovered. What we found on her phone would prove premeditation and reveal a conspiracy that went much deeper than we initially imagined.
Text messages recovered from Diana's phone painted a picture of calculated murder. 3 weeks before Samuel's death, Diana wrote to Eric Rodriguez, "What if Samuel just had an accident? What if he just disappeared and never came back?" Eric's response was chilling. "Stop talking like that. You're scaring me." But Diana didn't stop. She continued planning, continued plotting, continued drawing both Eric and Mark deeper into her web of deception and murder. The digital evidence would prove that Samuel Williams didn't die in a crime of passion. He was executed.
I swear to God, I never knew she was planning to kill him. Diana kept saying things like, "Imagine if Samuel wasn't around anymore, and what would you do if I was suddenly single?" But I thought she was just fantasizing, just venting her frustrations about her marriage. I never thought she was actually capable of murder. When she called me that night and said Samuel was dead, I was shocked, completely devastated. She said it was an accident, that he'd fallen and hit his head in the garage. I wanted to believe her so badly. I loved her, I trusted her, and she used that love to manipulate me into helping her cover up the most horrible crime imaginable.
Eric claims he was manipulated, but the evidence suggests he knew more than he's admitting. Security camera footage from a neighbor's house captured Diana in the garage at 3:17 a.m., hours after she claimed to have discovered Samuel's body. She was seen mopping the floor, moving tools, and most damning of all, dragging what appeared to be Samuel's body to a different location within the garage. This footage completely contradicted her statement to police that she'd found Samuel exactly where he died and had immediately called for help. The timestamp proved she'd spent nearly 2 hours staging the crime scene to make it look like an accident, carefully positioning evidence to support her false narrative.
Diana came to my house around midnight, covered in blood, shaking and crying hysterically. She said Samuel had attacked her when he found out about us, said she'd fought back in self-defense and accidentally killed him with a wrench. I was terrified, completely out of my depth. I'd never been involved in anything like this before. She begged me to help her. Said she'd go to prison forever if anyone found out what really happened. I was stupid enough to believe her story. Stupid enough to think I was protecting the woman I loved. I helped her move his body, helped her clean up the blood. I'll regret that decision for the rest of my life.
Welcome back to the Judgment Room, where only facts matter. I'm Judge Linda Harris, and we're continuing our examination of the Samuel Williams murder case. What we've discovered is that this wasn't a crime of passion or self-defense as Diana Williams claimed. This was a carefully planned execution carried out by a wife who saw murder as her solution to an unhappy marriage. The evidence is overwhelming. Premeditated text messages, staged crime scene, manipulated witnesses, and most chilling of all, a complete lack of remorse when confronted with the truth. Diana Williams didn't just kill her husband, she destroyed the lives of 2 men who genuinely cared about her, turning them into unwitting accomplices in her deadly scheme.
Our reconstruction of the crime scene tells a very different story than what Diana Williams reported to police. Based on blood spatter, patterns, impact analysis, and witness testimony, here's what actually happened that night. Diana lured Samuel into the garage around midnight under the pretense of wanting to talk about their marriage problems. She had already hidden the wrench behind a tool cabinet, planning the murder down to the smallest detail. When Samuel turned his back to her, possibly to grab something from his workbench, Diana struck him repeatedly with the wrench until he was dead. She then spent the next 3 hours staging the scene, moving his body, cleaning up evidence, and calling both Eric and Mark to help her cover up the crime. This wasn't self-defense. This was cold-blooded, premeditated murder, carried out by someone who'd been planning it for weeks.
Phone records show that Diana made 17 different calls between midnight and 4 a.m. on the night of the murder. First, she called Eric at 12:43 a.m., crying and claiming Samuel had attacked her. When Eric didn't answer, she called Mark at 12:47 a.m. with the same fabricated story. She continued calling both men alternately, each time refining her story, each time becoming more desperate for help with the cover-up. By 2 a.m., She had convinced Mark to come over and help her deal with the situation. By 3 a.m., she had Eric believing that Samuel's death was an accident that needed to be hidden to protect her from false murder charges. Her manipulation was masterful, playing on both men's love for her and their desire to protect her from what they believed was an unjust legal system.
Evidence against Diana Williams is overwhelming and undeniable. We have her fingerprints on the murder weapon, her DNA mixed with Samuel's blood, security footage of her staging the crime scene, recorded phone calls where she admits to killing her husband, and testimony from 2 witnesses who helped her cover up the crime. But perhaps most damning of all, we have her own words. When Detective Johnson asked her why she killed Samuel, Diana Williams looked him straight in the eye and said, "Because I was tired of being married to him, and this seemed like the easiest solution." No remorse, no emotion, no regret, just cold calculation. This wasn't a crime of passion or desperation. This was the act of a woman who decided that murder was more convenient than divorce, who valued her own freedom more than her husband's life.
My son Samuel was a good man who worked himself to death trying to make Diana happy. He took double shifts at the factory, saved every penny for their future together, never complained about the long hours or the physical exhaustion. He would call me every Sunday to check on his mother and me, always asking if we needed anything, always offering to help with repairs around our house. Samuel dreamed of starting a family with Diana, of buying a bigger house, of giving her everything she deserved. He had no idea that while he was working those double shifts, Diana was planning his murder. He trusted her completely, loved her with all his heart, and she repaid that love by bashing his skull in with a wrench. She stole his life, his dreams, his future, and for what? So she could be free to sleep with other men without the inconvenience of divorce.
During her sentencing hearing, Diana Williams showed absolutely no remorse for her actions. When asked if she had anything to say to Samuel's family, she simply shrugged and said, "I did what I had to do." When the judge asked if she understood the gravity of her crime, she replied, "I understand that I got caught." Her complete lack of empathy, her total absence of guilt or regret, revealed the true nature of a woman who saw her husband as nothing more than an obstacle to overcome. Psychologists who evaluated Diana described her as having narcissistic personality disorder with psychopathic tendencies. She was incapable of genuine love, incapable of remorse, and incapable of seeing other people as anything more than tools to be used for her own benefit. Samuel Williams didn't just marry a cheater, he married a killer.
I received a 12-year prison sentence for my role in covering up Samuel's murder, accessory after the fact, obstruction of justice, and tampering with evidence. I maintain that I had no knowledge of Diana's plan to kill Samuel and was manipulated into helping with the cover-up after the fact. During my testimony, I broke down emotionally, expressing deep regret for my actions and genuine sorrow for Samuel's death. The judge noted that while my crimes were serious, I appeared to be a victim of Diana's manipulation rather than a willing participant in murder. Nevertheless, the law is clear. Helping to cover up a murder is a felony, regardless of the motivation behind it. I will serve my time, and I will have to live with my mistakes forever. Diana destroyed so many lives with her selfishness and cruelty. Samuel deserved so much better than what she gave him.
The small Ohio community where Samuel Williams lived and died came together to honor his memory and support his grieving family. More than 300 people attended his memorial service, including co-workers who described him as the hardest working man they'd ever known, neighbors who remembered his kindness and generosity, and family members who loved him deeply. A scholarship fund was established in Samuel's name to help young people pursue vocational training, reflecting his own dedication to honest work and providing for others. The local factory where Samuel worked for 8 years created a memorial plaque in his honor, recognizing him as an employee who never missed a day of work and always volunteered for overtime to help his colleagues. His murder shocked this tight-knit community, but his memory continues to inspire acts of kindness and solidarity among those who knew him. Diana Williams was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for the first-degree murder of her husband Samuel. The judge called her crime one of the most calculating and cold-blooded murders he had seen in 30 years on the bench. During the sentencing, Samuel's father gave a victim impact statement that brought the entire courtroom to tears, describing his son's dreams, his kindness, and the devastating impact his loss had on their family. Diana showed no emotion throughout the entire proceeding, staring straight ahead as if the trial had nothing to do with her. She will spend the rest of her life in the Ohio Reformatory for Women, where she will have decades to contemplate the 5 minutes of violence that destroyed multiple lives and robbed the world of a good man who deserved so much better. The Samuel Williams case reminds us that evil can hide behind a beautiful face and a charming smile. Diana Williams fooled everyone, her husband, her lovers, her community, into believing she was a victim when she was actually a predator. Samuel Williams trusted the wrong person with his heart, his home, and ultimately his life. In the judgment room, we believe that justice must be served, truth must be revealed, and victims must be remembered. Samuel Williams will never be forgotten.